Okay, we can call this meeting to order. Start with attendance. Tyler Crook is here. Jennifer Eccles.
Here.
Capola Napoleon.
Here.
Tracy Dillon.
Here.
Emily Sims. Muted, but here. Kat Lundquist.
Here.
Robin Onstock.
Tyler, I'm resending her the link. She's having an issue, so she may be in
Okay.
late.
Is here. Richard Guscott is here. Okay, good attendance today. Are there any changes or questions about the agenda for tonight? Does not look like it. Excellent. So would anybody like to motion and approval of last meeting minutes? Do we have to approve both October 17th and November 28th, don't we, Sarah?
Yeah, and you can do it in one vote.
Okay,
I move to approve meeting minutes from October and November board meetings.
thank you, Capola. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tracy. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Wow. Always so unanimous with that one. All right, we don't have any presentations today, so we can move straight to reports. Sarah, you want to give us your library director report?
Yes, I do. And I have just slightly a bit more to share than what I put on the agenda. Let me grab my notes here really quick. Okay, so updates on grants. We applied in December for the Penguin Random House grant. It's $1,000 and it would help us fund the first West Valley Free Comics Day, which is a project Tyler brought to us that we are currently working on. We'll hear on that grant in March, on March 8th, actually, if we get it. Last week, I submitted for a $5,000 Oregon Humanities grant, which would add 4 additional programs in arts and humanities for the summer reading program. And we'll hear on that grant in February. And then yesterday, I heard from our winter PSU students, their lead, and I'll be working with 6 students on a equitable food access and food sustainability project to start looking at building some grants out of that. Wanted to share in the ever-going efforts of our building, we did have a water heater issue that had to be replaced. Of course, during the 1 week we were going to be away and nobody was going to be in the building, the water heater decided to spring a leak. And luckily, Richard happened to go over to the library and caught it. So no damage was done. And we did have to replace the water heater. That was about a $500 hit to our budget. Tomorrow, weather pending, and an 8 a.m. phone call to see how travel would be. We have Solutions Yes, our printer company, coming out to the library to hook us up with Wi-Fi printing per our IT grant we're working on right now, and a new staff printer. So that is moving forward on that project. We will be closed the week of March 18th through the 22nd, which is the week before spring break for the local school districts. We'll be doing some spring cleaning, and the side of the building that is all youth services, we'll be tearing that apart and rearranging shelving to make more room for our families, because it can get quite crowded in there when we have multiple families on any given day. And so that's grants and that's facilities. Before I move into programming, does anybody have any questions about either of those things? Nope.
Nope.
So coming up for programming, we had our winter celebration January 3rd through the 6th. We had 72 in attendance over the course of those days. And that ranged from arts activities, craft activities, gaming activities. We brought our VR program back, and our hits for the program was our Minecraft club that is growing quite well amongst our younger library patrons. And then of all things, perler beads. So we brought that out for our first day, I think it was arts. And then we had to bring it back again a second day on Saturday because it was such a hit and the kids enjoyed making their little perler bead creations. So the volunteer who ran that program, her name is Bethany. She is new with us and has been volunteering for a few weeks now doing day-to-day stuff. And now she's moving into programming with Richard. And she's actually going to possibly be heading up a permanent perler bead program for the library on a monthly basis. So we'll be investing in that as well, and we're really excited. I finished today my facilitator training for Ready for Kindergarten. So I can now offer that program at our library, and we'll be looking for ways to incorporate that into an early education reading type program, such as story time for our young patrons as well. On the astronomy club and STEM and science front, I was invited to attend a brainstorming dinner on the 25th of this month for the annual Science Fest with the Carleton Observatory. Is everybody here familiar with the Carleton Observatory?
No.
Yeah, so
not.
out at the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum, there is a large project underway by this group, the Carleton Observatory Group, and to get an observatory up and running. And they're doing quite well with all of their funding efforts. And it all started with a couple of people who have this amazing telescope that they love to just take around and show the stars off to people. And they have made great stride in getting everything going out there. So last year they held this free family event, their Science Fest, and this will be their second one. And we've been invited to participate. And that will be on March 16th. And so we'll represent the library and the astronomy club for the library as part of that as well. If you haven't, or if you have a chance, you can go on Google or Facebook and look up Carleton Observatory and kind of follow along with what they got going on. On April 15th at 3 o'clock, which is after the April fundraising committee meeting, we will have an author visit and talk from Cheryl Gill. I spoke with her this morning, and she wrote a book, a very simple estate planning guide, and she'll give a talk and presentation on Secure Tomorrow, Embrace Today, the heart of estate planning. But going through that myself recently within the last few years, and then knowing many other people who have had to deal with that over the last couple of years, I feel like this is a good program to offer to our local community and patrons. Amity will be offering her program in February, and then I'll have it in April. And then on April 20th, tentatively, yesterday I connected with a Solar System NASA ambassador. They have a program where you can connect with local ambassadors in the area. And Don Anderson is from Dallas, and he's given presentations with Evergreen and then also the Dallas Library. And we are working on booking him for a program. And then as a reminder, May 1st through the 28th, we'll have the museum program, Native Innovation, and then added to our summer reading program, which I know it feels like that's far away, but I am well into the depths of planning for it. We have the Newport Aquarium coming out in July to do a program for our families. That's really exciting. And then I connected yesterday with Dr. Dana Sanchez through OSU Department of Fisheries and Wildlife. And we're working on trying to get a bat conservation conversation presentation and talk out this summer as well. That's all programming. That was really a lot, but it's the beginning of the year and that's where my brain is. And then the only other updates I have is that the State Library of Oregon sent out an email that the 2023 stats are now available. And then from OLA, the Oregon Library of Association, that conference will be in Salem this year, April 24th to the 27th, and I'll be attending for the first time in 8 years. So, and then their committee sent out an email that they've got award nominations open. If you guys would like to see that email, I'm happy to send it out. But they are taking nominations for Oregon Librarian of the Year, Library Employee of the Year, Distinguished Service Award, Library Supporter of the Year. So if anybody's interested in that, let me know and I'll email it out to you. Did I catch everything? Oh, you guys all saw the December stats. I mean, it was just a December. There was nothing exciting going on. And then T-Mobile hotspots, we have them. We're working on cataloging them. And hopefully I will have those in service and circulating by the end of the month with any luck. That's all I.
The only thing in the schedule to add was, I don't think you said that the free comic book day would be on May 4th.
Oh, there you go. Yep, May 4th. That's right. That one is going on too. I'm going to add that to my notes right now. Any questions? I gave a lot to you guys. Luckily, Richard will put that all in the minutes.
Yeah, that is so much stuff.
Don't
It's
worry,
gonna
I've
be
been furiously
exciting.
typing this whole time.
Okay.
All right, then I think we can move on to member reports. We'll start with me. I don't know if there's much to report other than, I guess I could talk a little bit about Free Comic Book Day, which was, I was at a comic shop it's in Milwaukee, called Things from Another World. And I asked the store manager how we could have Free Comic Book Day at the library, because he does it at the shop every year. And he just offered to not only do all the ordering and stuff that we need to do for the books, but to buy all the books for us. So we're going to get about 1,500 books that we can hand out to kids and adults and anyone who wants a comic book on Free Comic Book Day. And we're trying to get some programming. I've sent out a couple emails to comic book creators, writers, and artists. I haven't heard back from anyone yet. It's kind of competitive to get people to come to your Free Comic Book Day event because there's so many of them. But hopefully I'll start to hear back from some of those. And yeah, and I'm just trying to find someone who can teach a kids comic book class to happen that day, so we could get some kids to make their own comics. But I have not found anyone who's available yet. I did find one guy, but he actually runs a comic shop in Portland, so he's going to be busy that day. And that's it for me. Okay, Paula, do you want to tell us all the amazing stuff that's happening with Friends of the Library?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. And I just got to say that comic book thing sounds very amazing. Free Comic Book Day. I'm excited. Well, some very exciting news. Our 501c3 with the IRS was approved. And so Miriam filed our registration with the Oregon Department of Justice. We are completed with our registration, and now we have an official formation of Love Our Library, Friends of the Willamina Public Library. So this is a long time coming, and without Marian, we definitely would not be where we're at, and she's just amazing in helping us get all this done. So we are super excited because we're also backdated to September as our formation. We've got our tax deductible ID number and all that jazz. It's really great. Right now, we're in the process of making our website, which Tyler has graciously helped with, Marion, and we're getting that approved. We'll look to get a Facebook page going as well. We're working on an operating agreement with the library. And then we're merging the fundraising committee. And once we get all those steps, we'll start really recruiting for our friends, getting membership. So if there's any questions about the 501c3, let me know. And then the fundraising committee, we were supposed to meet this last Sunday, but because of weather, we decided to hold off. No one needs to come in on the ice. So we will be meeting this coming Sunday, the 21st at 2 p.m. We will be planning the wet season music dinner for February 17th. We'll be serving dinner when the Joanne Bro Band will be performing. And that's a mixture of blues and jazz with a splash of funk. So come on out and support us, get some dinner. All proceeds going to Love Our Library, Friends of the Willamina Library. I think that's it, unless anyone has any questions. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that is so exciting. That's going to open up so much like fundraising possibilities and stuff that,
Yes.
yeah, that we've desperately needed, I think.
Yeah, the
Good
online
work.
donation aspect is just going to catapult us, I feel.
Yeah. Tracy, any news from CCRLS?
We had our first meeting of the year Thursday of last week. It was completely devoted to approval of the upcoming budget. Doug Yancey, the director of CCRLS, gave a robust and data-driven presentation, which is quite complicated. I don't know, Sarah, if you're going to say anything more specifically about budget things for our library later, but the gist of it is it's kind of a predictive budget, so it's a wash. He's like planning, expenses and income wash out. Expected revenues a bit over 5 million, and he just figured the numbers in such a way that it was same amount going out. So that is what happened at the last CCRLS meeting.
All right. Robin, any news on your end?
Not much. Today was a snow day. Because we were gone for so long, we had 16 days off over break, and then we only had 4 days last week, 3 of which I was alone. So we had just free days. So we have nothing going on. I've got to start thinking of things to get the kids to do. I really want to do some book projects, but we'll see how that goes. And I got a new puppy, and she keeps attacking the computer. So I'm sorry. But that's about it. I'm hoping to get something going, but I'm probably going to come and talk to Sarah for some ideas.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank
Real
you.
quick, Tyler, if I can, I just want to compliment Robin. So last week I was up at the library. For those of you who don't know, Carrie Zimbrick, our school superintendent, is retiring, and they've hired a consultant company to oversee that recruitment process. And the gentleman who came in did forums with people from the community, and I attended one of those forums, and it was in the library, and the library looked absolutely amazing, Robin,
Oh,
from
thank
the
you.
last time I'd been in there. So whatever you guys are doing, it is working, because it
Awesome.
just all the front facing, the comics, the nonfiction, like it looked sharp. So I just want to send that kudos out to the group for Robin, because it was really nice to go in there.
Ah, thank you very much.
That's awesome. Okay, are there any other items? Anything else anybody wants to add? You can keep your comments 3 minutes or less. Okay, nothing. So continued business from the last meeting. First one on our list is the collection development policy review. I have not been able to get back to that. My apologies to Jennifer for not getting back to it, but yeah, just from being sick, I'm still catching up on everything. So hopefully we'll get back to that really soon, and we can present that to you guys. So nothing really to say about that other than me talking about it for no reason. But Sarah's been working on a library photography policy and a security camera policy. And that's also the what's the name of it? The code of conduct, right?
Yeah, so I sent quite a few documents to you. I apologize. I know you came back after the holidays and thought to yourself, I want nothing more than a bunch of policies from Sarah to look over. But you know, as I was researching the photography policy, I just realized how many more policies like we need, which we've always needed. Then we have the bare basic minimum that's required by the state library based on the public library standards. But really, I'd like to start bringing up our procedures and our policies up to a level that brings us well past those standards. And as we've been talking this group about the photography policy, and someone had asked the question about including the security cameras as part of that, I came to learn that those are two very different policies to be written. So I sent both of those out to you. I'm not necessarily looking for an approval tonight, but what I would like is any feedback and or if you guys can set a timeline to review them and then send me any feedback. The library photography policy is pretty straightforward, I think, based on how I wrote it out, as far as trying to capture, not just letting anybody come in and really trying to protect the privacy of our patrons when they're in, and then also making sure that they understand that, you know, that the staff may do promotional photos and recording as well, but that we make sure to respect people who don't want to be included in those. So that was kind of a capture on that policy. And then the security camera policy is way more in depth, kind of talking about the retention of our footage, who can actually look at our footage, and after this group has a chance to look at that policy, and then I'll need to actually take it to the city and to make sure that from the city perspective, they're on the same page, and making sure that they're not doing anything with our footage and that they're following our rules versus us following their rules, because we have higher level patron confidentiality guidelines we need to follow. And I just want to make sure that people aren't just watching this live stream for the day. Like, that's a big no-no. Making sure you know, that the officers only have access to the footage upon request, making sure that only the city manager and our code enforcement person has access in the event I'm not available to have access. And actually, Richard's included, well, all library staff are, my library assistant and library clerk have access to the footage too, just because we're small and there's not enough of us to go around. So this is a way more in-depth policy that will need to be reviewed by this team. But then after this team has a chance to review it and ask all the questions to make sure we're covering everything we could think of from the library perspective, I'll need to go to the city and make sure that they have no questions about our policy, because it will guide how they access our camera footage as well. So those are the two policies on the first agenda item. So any questions, comments, feedback, and or can I get you guys to decide on how you would like to offer feedback for those two policies?
I have not actually had time to review them, and I'm sure that's probably the case for some other people. I would say, why don't we, I'll make a point to give it a read over this month and then send feedback just as emails to Sarah. And then, yeah, I was trying to think if there's a way we could get it settled by next meeting and just be able to vote on it, but we might have to send our feedback this month. And then Sarah, you could make changes and resubmit it to us. So like we can vote on it the meeting after next. Is that too long for you?
No, yeah, so if you guys wanted to, the next meeting is February 20th. If I could get feedback, I wouldn't be able to send it out to you along with the agenda, but I can get it out to you by the 20th. But if you guys could get me feedback by February 6th, that would give me 2 weeks to prepare a final draft. And then I can bring the final drafts to you guys. And then if you choose, based on the feedback, to approve them as I would send them to you, then that's great. Or if you guys feel like one of them needs more work over, we can push that into February. But I should be able to accommodate that. What do the rest of you guys think?
Sounds good to me.
February
We got
6th.
Thumbs up. February 6th.
You haven't sent them out yet, right?
I'll resend them to you again, Robin, and
Because I didn't get them.
I'll resend them. Yeah, we need to figure that out, where my emails are going.
Yeah.
You and
Just
the
send them,
email
send them to my
address.
home one. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll resend
Yeah.
them to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next thing on the list is library charter ordinance.
So that was just, this is the last time you guys are going to see this on the agenda unless you ever change your minds to review it again at some point in the very far distant future. But that did go to city council and was approved. And I was actually the one who read it into the public record at that city council meeting. So it's official. Your ordinance is a done deal. And I just wanted to share that.
Excellent. We're official.
Official.
Okay, so then now we're on to new business, the code of conduct policy, which, is there more to say about that, or did we already cover it?
No, so that's going to actually be a separate policy. So there will be 2 new policies to look at after we finish the library photography policy and the security camera policy. Originally, I wanted to work with Bridget to do an umbrella code of conduct for the city. The more I devoured policies, I realized that I think maybe that we should go ahead and make a code of conduct for the library specifically. And of course, it'll be captured. The library will be captured under the umbrella policy by the city once they make one. But I think that we need one, and we need one more quicker than the city will move on theirs. And then the other policy we'll need to look at after these first 2 policies will be the internet use policy. So for the longest time, our internet use policy has covered our public use computers and talks about, you know, what the big no-no is to look at the computers, especially since we serve youth. But we don't extend that to our Wi-Fi. And now that we will have hotspots, we need to also encompass and cover our hotspots that go out in circulation too, and broaden the internet use policy to be encompassing of all those things. So I sent you McMinnville's code of conduct policy just as an example of what will be up and coming, and then Mount Angel's internet use policy as an example of what will be up and coming. I need to do more research on those 2 because they're just a little bit more extensive than the photography policy and security camera policy. And I want to make sure I capture everything. But I just wanted to share that those will be up and coming. And if you're really bored, you're welcome to read those policies and see what they entail. But code of conduct really needs to cover how people act and behave both inside and outside of the building. And we need to have the ability to ask people to leave and or not come back for an extended period of time if necessary. And that code of conduct will do that for us. We currently don't have anything that will allow us to do that.
Will that be something that when you get your library card, you would have to agree to or anything like that? Or
Yeah, so policies are posted policies. So in the event that we have to give warning or refer to them, they just have to be within the public's view. So we keep our policies right at the front desk, at the main CERC side where you would go to apply for your library card. The few policies we do have, with the exception of the collection development policy, because it's so long, are available on that wall right there. And we also have a binder where people can ask to view the policy. So there's not anything in library land that says you have to review these policies and accept them.
Mhm.
They're for reference, and they're what we can refer to when we have to hold people accountable to them.
Gotcha. Awesome. Tracy.
Yeah, is it okay to use the Mount Angel and Minville text as a template? Essentially, is it okay to plagiarize them, or how original do we have to be, or can we riff off this stuff?
Oh, we can rip it
With no
off.
problem.
No problems whatsoever.
Okay.
That's what we do in library land. So that's actually where the original collection development policy came from, was McMinnville. And when I made the photography policy and security camera policy, the Association of Small and Rural Libraries has a resource to direct, especially small and rural libraries to, which is just this website of nothing but policies, shared policies, to make our lives easier for reference when we're trying to build these policies. So.
All open source.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
Okay. I don't see any public here. Do we have any public input? I guess you can leave a comment under this YouTube video. Okay. So then for our calendar, the next meeting will be February 20th. MNCH, Native Innovation, is coming May. Do you want to tell us about that, Sarah, real quick?
That's Museum of Natural and Cultural History, Native Innovation. May 1st to the 28th, we'll have the museum exhibit in the library. I get more information on that exhibit in March, is when the museum says they'll email it out. And that'll be all the resource guides, the facilitator guides for the different stations for the exhibit. And then we'll be working with the school district to try to get some of the elementary kiddos hopefully down to field trip the exhibit. And it's always when we give our summer reading program pitch is in May as well. So that will bring them to us, and then we can say, come back. And then it's possible that we'll be working with Love Our Library to do an exclusive recruiting event during that exhibit as well. A library after hours or after dark type event to bring in some potential new friends to show that they could help fund programs like this, because that program will cost us $350, which will be paid for out of our Ready to Read grant funds this year. So
Awesome. And then the summer reading program is June to August.
it will be June. I have exact dates for that, actually, if you would like to know. It will run June 18th till August 6th. Also worth noting, August 6th is National Night Out. So I will be done with everything. August 6th for the rest of August, but I'm just going to wrap our end of summer reading program up in that. Last year I learned I was pretty tired after planning that with the team and then doing the summer thing and then doing that thing. I didn't want to do any more things after that. So we're going to end on that this year. So be thinking about that because I know you all want to go and help and participate at National Night Out 8 months from now.
Hey, and are you still looking for volunteers for, there was a thing I saw on Facebook.
Thank you for reminding me. So are you all familiar with the point in time count? So every 2 years, the nationwide, there's the point in time count. And what that does is it's typically held during the coldest time of the year. And this year's we're on January 24th, so next Wednesday. We'll do a point in time count, but we're in an off year this year. So not every county is doing this count, but it's try to capture the amount of people experiencing homelessness in our communities. So last year we had Polk County on site and Yamhill County on site for the actual count. This year, Yamhill County is doing it in an off year, just for a number of reasons. So we're partnering with them to do this count, and it'll be all day at our library. We are going to be a drop-in site. We've always been a drop-in site pre-COVID and post-COVID, and they can come and complete the survey with somebody. So tomorrow morning, I'll take the training on how to administer the survey with people. And then they can come and get warming essentials, basically blankets, socks, hygiene items if needed. Basically all the things we kind of already offer at our library for people. It's just more an official capacity. And then Yamhill County will be supplying the bulk of the resources this go around. And they'll also be able to get tarps. So yeah, so we're doing that next Wednesday, 9 to 5 at our library. We'll be able to give the survey and we'll be looking for extra help. If you want to give the survey, you can take the training. I'll have the recording made available, or you can come and keep coffee on, or you can help hand out stuff to people. So yeah, that is what we're looking for volunteers for right now. Thank you for reminding me about that, Tyler.
Mhm. Okay, I think that does it. We did it, everybody. Does anybody want to motion that we adjourn? Because we could just do this all night. We could just,
I'll motion to adjourn.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Excellent. Well, then we're done. Oh,
If it
man,
weren't
my
for
gavel is still down at the library. I need to bring that thing home so I can.
If it
Gavel,
weren't
these
for
meetings are done.
Capola and me, we'd never start a meeting or finish a meeting.
With you, Tracy.